Hello everyone, and thank you for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to demonstrate how we can back up a project from our local Visual Studio Code into the cloud. To do that, we are going to set up an account in GitHub, and we are going to link the GitHub account with our Visual Studio Code. Then we will create a few files and we upload it into the web. So, how do we do that? First of all, we need to set up a GitHub account, a repository in the cloud. Second, we need to link it with our machine using Git. Third, we need to create a Visual Studio Code project. And fourth, we'll show you how those files get updated into the cloud. With that said, let's go for it. Okay, I assume you have a GitHub account. If not, you have to create a GitHub account, and if you select public, it will be a free account, so it will not be charged. So, once now we have our GitHub account, first thing we're gonna do is log in with our username and the password that you set up when you create an account. So let's sign in. And here we are on the main page. Here I'm going to show you how to start a repository. Two ways. You can click on start a project or just click new repository. In this example, we're going to go just and click new repository. And the new repository will have as a root the owner and then the repository name. In this case, we'll call it web demo. We have it as a public, again, as it's for free. If it was private, again, you will have to pay a subscription. And let's create repository. And there we go. We have created our repository that we're gonna be using for our project. It creates a couple of help lines here, command lines. The first one is if you create a new repository, this is the HTTPS that you're gonna have to use, and we will be using that in our local machine to set up our repository where we're gonna start writing and creating our projects. We also have push if we have to, or import code. Push we will do it through VS Code, so we will not have to take in consideration that one now, but for now and for make it easier for us, let's copy this path as we're gonna use it in a little while. So this is all that we need to do to set up our GitHub repository. Okay, now that we have created our web demo repository in the GitHub account, let's move to our local machine. Let's open the command prompt screen. Here you will see that I am C user and my local directory of my account in this machine. Just for a demo purpose, let's create a directory here, mkdir, let's call it demo. We hit enter. It should be created. Let's change the directory, cd demo, and there we are. At this point, we also assume that you install Git in your local machine. It's pretty straightforward. You go into the Git on the website, you download it, you install it, you set up your email and your name, and you're good to go. So the first thing that we have to do here is initialize this directory. For that, we'll go with this following command: git init, INIT, and we hit enter. And you will get the message that initialize empty Git repository in, and it puts the path. You will see that after the demo, it created that Git directory as well. Okay, so we have initialized the directory. Once that they are initialized, that's where we're gonna start building the structure that we create in our GitHub account. That's where it comes in place, that HTTPS that I showed you over the GitHub account. To do this, we need basically to bring the structure or to clone the structure, so connecting our local machine with the GitHub account. For that, we're gonna do git clone, and we're gonna paste the HTTPS that we got from our repository on the web. In that case, we call it web demo. So again, this is git clone and the HTTPS link. We hit enter, and you can see it starts saying it's cloning into a web demo. And here we have a warning because basically when I create the directory there, we didn't have any files or anything, so I give you a warning that you appear to have cloned an empty repository. Okay, that's fine with us. Again, we're gonna use this for VS Code application, so we are okay with that. Let's do dir, and we can see now that we have a web demo directory here. So let's change that one, cd web demo. Misspelled demo. There we go. dir, and we are all set. So this ends up the process of setting up the linkage between GitHub and Git in our machine. And the next step, we are gonna move over VS Code and we are gonna get the project running. Okay, now that we have our GitHub repository set up on the web and we have linked it on our local machine with Git, we move over Visual Studio Code. Here we're gonna click in Add Workspace folder, and we're gonna go just exactly to the directory that we created, which was our demo. And here we have our web demo, and let's add this as our workspace. It's taking a few seconds to load here, and here we have our web demo. We see immediately here that because we have the Git setup on the very bottom of your screen on the left side, there is a web demo Git master. That's the linkage between your local machine and your repository on the web. So for these testing purposes, we're gonna go into our web demo. We are just add a couple of files. Let's say like let's call it this web demo.html. Here let's create something simple, and let's create also let's add one more file. I don't know, let's call style.css. So we have two different files to show. So here we have our style CSS and a web demo HTML. At this point, we're making changes. We are adding, removing, doing everything on those files. But you can see immediately that because we're using this as a source control, we have two changes here. On the right hand side, you can see those files are on track. What we're gonna do now, first thing is we assume that in this case we added. Most of you will be making changes. It will be the same scenario, but here we just have these new two files. So we're gonna click in this source control where it says number 2, because it says 2 pending changes. Again, these are not changes, it's just created. We add data, so it takes it as pending. Here we can type the message wherever we want to update in our repository, and for this let's say new files created. In here you can just commit the changes. Let's do the checkbox and it will give a few seconds. and you see that has gone away. Now we have committed our changes in our Visual Studio Code. So basically the two files are ready to go. You will notice also here in the lower left side there is this small web demo git publish changes. As soon as you commit the changes, they will be waiting here to be pushed. I know it's hard to see, but there is like a small cloud with a arrow pointing up to the cloud. So that means that we are good to go. So what do we do next? The final step will be, in this case, go over here, those three dots, more, and all you have to do here is go to the push and click on push, and you will see it will go through. It's going through the source control gate. On the very bottom you see it's spinning where the cloud was before with the arrow pointing up. Now it's spinning. You also notice that there is a small clock here on our source control going through, and we are done. You can see that the changes have been synchronized. Alright, now the final step, probably the easiest one, is just to verify that Visual Studio Code put those files correctly. For that, we log in again into our GitHub account, and we will see that we have the repository that we created before. It was my ID plus we call it web demo. So let's click on the repository, and here we go. We see that we have in our web demo our files. You can see it's 8 minutes ago, our style CSS and our web demo HTML. Remember, we put the message of new files created, and here we can see. So this is very simple way to create a repository on the cloud and link it with your VS Code and work through. Great tool if you have projects and you want to back them up out of your machine and you have to have local attachments to your laptop or desktop. You only need an internet connection, get your projects on the cloud, and you will have always access to them. So again, thanks for your attention. I hope this is helpful, and please leave message, comments below the posting on my YouTube account, and let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye bye.